INEC has asked that the resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State to stand down on any activity of the election as we await the meeting of the commission on the state of the governorship election in the northeast state. The controversies over the outcome of the Kogi APC primary rages and some other aspirants in the race disown the process. Tonight, we dig deeper into the issues that have been raised. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale in Abuja. So much to talk about, everyone. So let's get straight to it. Tonight, we'll be touching on some of your biggest and top stories in politics in Nigeria. We'll dig into the Adamawa issue. INEC has made some releases tonight in the way and manner it will go in the coming days over that election to conclude that polls, and some of the statement that has been made over the wreck in that state. Of course, we go to Kogi State today, where we'll be listening to one of the contestants in the Kogi APC primary. That primary is that have raised a lot of controversies, and we'll be hearing what is happening. Senator Adeyemi will be speaking with us tonight. So stay with me, everyone. But first and foremost, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
Good evening, everyone. I am Victoria Longjohn, and here are your political roundup stories for today. Protesters have taken to the streets of Yola, the Adamawa state capital, demanding the announcement of the results of the supplementary governorship elections. Comprising men, women and youth, the protesters marched to the INEC office where they asked the umpire to respect the mandate of the people. According to them, there is no transparency in the governorship election in Adamawa state, which to them should have ended with the first poll held on March 18. Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has directed the resident electoral commissioner in the state, Mr. Hudu, to stay away from all activities of the commission in the state. The directive followed controversy over the announcement of candidates of the All Progressives Congress, Mrs. Aisha Binani Dahiru, as the winner of the Adamawa State Governorship Supplementary polls on Sunday, which is against his constitutional role. The People's Democratic Party candidate for Abakaliki North State Constituency, Moke Chidi, has been declared winner of last Saturday's supplementary election. The PDP candidate polled a total of 5,988 votes to defeat his closest contender, Maxwell Umahi of the ruling All Progressives Congress APC. The supplementary election was held in 76 polling units across 7 local government areas of Ebonyi State. Ahead of the November 11 governorship election in Imo State, Kemdi Okpara and Professor James Okoroma have emerged governorship candidates of the Young Progressives Party YPP and African Democratic Congress ADC respectively. Kemdi Okpara of the YPP emerged the sole candidate of the governorship seat in Imo State with a total of 145 votes, while Professor James Okoroma of the African Democratic Congress ADC polled a total of 990 votes to beat his closest rival, Professor Oke Okoro, who polled 715 votes. A coalition of independent election observers have described the just concluded governorship primary for the All Progressives Congress in Kogi State as free and fair. The spokesperson for the coalition, Mr. Peter Obut, told journalists at a press conference in Abuja that the conduct of the primaries across the state was conducted under a peaceful atmosphere. The Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party in Ward 10 in the Port Harcourt local government area of River State has suspended a former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Austin Opara, from the party. The committee also suspended the former chairman of the party in Port Harcourt local government, Ikechi Chinda, the secretary and publicity secretary of the PDP of Ward 10 and the LGA, Daniel Chinda and Richard James. A statement signed by the board chairman, Chisa Amadi, and 13 others says Austin Opara and the 3 others are suspended for anti-party activities in the 2023 general elections in River State. The Coalition for Good Governance and Economic Justice in Africa is asking the President-elect and the leadership of the All Progressives Congress to zone the seats of the President of the Senate to the South-South region of the country. According to the group, this is in line with equity, justice and fairness to the region, which has not produced a President of the Senate since the nation's return to democracy in 1999. The convener of the group, Mr. Kasim Afebwa, told a press conference in Abuja that considering the contribution of the region to the victory of the party in the presidential election, the South-South should be considered for the number 3 seat. Now, those are your political roundup stories. It's back to you now, Sheon.
Thank you so much, everyone. Let's get to it. First and foremost, we will get to the Adamawa matter and we'll break things down for you. We have a guest tonight on the program that has a lot of institutional memory and institutional understanding of INEC and the workings, and he will be telling us what exactly we need to know as far as this is concerned, the fate of that election that is now hanging in the balance. But first and foremost, let's deal with this Kogi Nutty issue. The dust has not yet settled in the aftermath of the primary of the All Progressives Congress APC, where a former Auditor General of the local government in Kogi State, Usman Ododo, emerged the winner of the governorship primary of the party. The election, which was conducted through a direct mode of election, is said to have taken place in 239 wards across the 21 local government areas of Kogi State. Mr. Ododo says, he's said to have polled 78,704 votes to defeat the 6 other contestants. The incumbent governor, Bello, a few days before the primary, endorsed Mr. Ododo, and some people had to step down for him. Some of the aspirants in the race have since disowned the exercise and called it a fraud and a charade. Meanwhile, the APC, in a letter surfaced, showed that the party has since forwarded the names of the candidates of in the different party governorship primary held in Imo, Bayelsa, and Kogi State, has forwarded those names to INEC, which means, and there you have it, that letter has been received by the umpire, showing that the party has decided on those that has emerged from the exercise. One of the contestants in that race in the governorship primary in Kogi State of the APC, Senator Smart Adeyemi, joins me live in the studio here to discuss the outcome and some of the issues that have been raised. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us tonight.
It's my pleasure being here once again.
Before the primary, you were on the program and you were very confident that you were going to win. What happened? Why were you beaten so badly?
Let me begin by saying that there was no election at all conducted.
Really?
There was no election.
In your area or generally in Kogi State?
In the whole state, there was no election. What they did was a selection.
Who did?
Sham.
Who selected?
A manipulation of people. Deceitful act. What happened was, we were all at home. Everybody was set at its various wards, all the contestants. And we are waiting, the INEC officials or the APC officials. None of them visited my ward. None of the contestants voted anywhere.
I saw some of your, in one of the videos produced by some
saw
of
the people
that
screaming that they've been waiting for 6 hours. Yeah. Nobody came. Nobody conducted any election. This is a rape of democracy. It is a treasonable offense. You know, it is manipulation at the highest order. It's deceitful. It is an ungodly act.
Is it that
unconstitutional?
Is it that it
undemocratic?
Is only in your area?
I'm telling you,
in the entire over 230
of course,
wards?
as a candidate, as an aspirant for a state position, you have your coordinators all over the state, and they were there waiting. No material was given to anybody. What they did was to call the chairman of the local government areas and the chairman of the party and handed over materials to them. And they, in turn, took these materials to their comfort zones, filled up the forms, and returned back to the APC organizing committee, election committee that came. So we were standing there. I sent this a video where people were talking that they've been waiting till 2 p.m. There was no election anywhere. And the question is, why did you allow us to buy form? If you have a system that would deny people to be voted for and to vote, then that is not democracy. That is a betrayal. These are some of the people screaming. They waited for hours. There was no election anywhere in Kogi West.
But there are some other videos, Senator, that surfaced where we saw people on the queue that are being counted in that direct mode. This is it.
What they have done, if you listen to them, you hear him say 10, 20, 100, 200. These are the state-managed election in the residence and secretariat of local government where they took people to. By the Electoral Act, you cannot conduct primary election outside the particular ward. So what they did was to get some few people and transport them to schools and counted them and create an impression that there was an election. There was no primary election anywhere. The appeal panel got my petition. They are yet to respond as to whether, because we gave them the visual. But what happened this evening, they came up with the list. Agreeing with the result, purported result, the handmade result. The fact is, there was no election anywhere.
Senator, if you say there was no election,
yeah,
results in that primary are since surfaced.
The result you saw was the one represented by the Honorable Patrick, who served as secretary.
So these are some of the results,
chairman,
and there's a whole lot of them
these ones
that
are
were received.
These ones were result. They were written in the residence of local government chairmen. Okay. What about the visual? We are the secretariat of my ward. Nobody came there. Nobody was there, and you saw over 300, 400, 500 people waiting. When they were tired, they left, and we still counted about 500 people waiting. Now, what happened was they gave asked the State Security Service, or INEC. That was not where anybody supervised any election. What they did was to hand over these electoral materials to the local government chairman, who in turn went to their comfort zone and handpicked about 200, 100 people to line up in their offices or in their nearby schools, and they counted them and took the photograph. Took the video them to create an impression that there was an election. There was no election anywhere, and they know there was no election. I was at the National Secretariat of APC today. They agree with me that they know there was no election.
So you've written a petition.
I wrote, of course, written a petition to the committee.
So that's the first step of action.
And not only that, I've written to the National Working Committee of the party, and I've told them they need to act. And if they don't act, Nigerians are wiser now. It is not a question of my party. It's a question of the stuff of the candidate that is made of. Who is this candidate? What is his background? Is he somebody trustworthy? So people are not going to be voting on the basis of party any longer. It's on the basis of who is the character. If you impose a candidate with a lot of baggages, if you impose a candidate with questionable character of his past, people won't vote at the general election.
Beyond the petition,
yes,
you are expected,
yes,
under a simple concept of administrative law, that yes, you also need to exercise and make sure that you use every measure internally,
yeah,
for your grievance before you now go.
Yeah.
It does look to me, because of your anger and your grievance now, is that someone was preferred over you.
Sure.
And you were not happy about it. And the influence of that person has caused another person whom you do not think befits the role to have won that process. Is that a picture of things?
It is more than that. The guy who won this, who purportedly to have won this election, happens to be the Auditor General of local government in my state. He is a cousin of the governor. He is from the same ward with the governor. They are of the same polling unit. So if you allow this to go on, a time will come, governor will impose his own son on the state.
Okay, so you're thinking this is nepotism.
This is the worst form of nepotism in the first instance. Secondly,
because you were agitating for a Kogi Western
of course we have not
someone from the Okun extraction to get the ticket, but this is not happening. And so the response from the other side is that you are simply not happy because the governor had not picked you.
It is beyond me. I'm talking about a struggle of a people who have been oppressed and marginalized. A people who are highly educated, highly exposed. A people who are highly endowed. And we have not been allowed, given the chance to rule since the creation of the state. Is it fair? See, there cannot be peace and stability of any political entity when there's no fairness, when there's no consideration of the feeling of the other person. Nobody is a slave. Nobody was conquered. Don't forget that we have some happy slaves. Happy slaves, these people who have been picked to act as if they are part of the ruling class. The fact is, my people deserve this slot. Since the creation of the state, we have not produced a governor, and I'm not in doubt that I'm competent, good enough, courageous enough, exposed enough to govern the state. And I have antecedents following me. And I know I've challenged all these other aspirants for a debate, including the young man that has been picked. This young man is a cousin of the governor. So what do you expect?
Is it competent character and in terms of profile and education, is it competent?
Competence, depending on how you define it. Competence as an accountant is different from an administrator.
So what really happened? Because you're now describing this process as a charade and that is a fraud, and you are alleging...
betrayal of democracy itself, what they did. When you ask people to come out to vote...
Was the exercise rigged?
If it was rigged, that wouldn't be much of a problem. We agree, okay, rigging is something that is common in election. This election never took place.
I mean,
I'm telling you that the election never took place.
What happened between you...
How come
Senator,
yes.
What happened between you and Governor Yahaya Bello? One would think that you are a very close ally of
yes.
Governor Yahaya Bello.
Yeah, nothing than the interest of my people and it's the interest of his own people. That was where we parted with. He wanted his own people to run another 8 years, making 16 years. I'm saying my people have not had the opportunity to rule, and it's our town.
Look at it. Look at the video there,
yes.
showing that there are people that was when the governor visited.
This is in his own ward. What do you expect? This is when he went to his own community.
Well, Senator, let me put your mind back. You are the one who said anything Yahaya Bello says,
yes.
you are going to follow. And the video has gone
viral.
Yes. Let me remind you of what you said some times ago.
Yes.
Take a listen to Senator Smart Adeyemi.
Yes.
This was Senator Smart Adeyemi before the 2019 senatorial election. Take a listen.
Only a foolish man will be thinking that I will have one day have issues with Yahaya Bello. I will not have any issue with Yahaya Bello, let me tell you. It will never happen. Because when people didn't believe in me, he believed in me. So why will I fight him? I can do anything, I can defend Yahaya Bello to any level. Because when people didn't believe, Yahaya Bello stood his ground. He said, I believe in Smart. So I will not betray him, inshallah. Nothing will happen. We will work together. Whatever is the decision of Yahaya Bello, I will stand by it, whether it is good or it's bad, I will stand by it. That's the lesson of my loyalty to him. You know, and I have some people have been talking. Whenever Yahaya Bello is leaving office, if he likes, let him bring my worst political enemy as his successor. I will support him. I'm not in a hurry to buy anything. Whoever Yahaya bring, we will support the person. So let me tell you that I am a progressive-minded person. And I'm a man of faith. I am a man of faith. I am here by the grace of Almighty God. In what my Muslim brother will say, it is God who brought me here, using Yahaya Bello and all of you. So I will continue to give my utmost best to all of you, defend our interests at the national level. There is no interest to defend in Kogi, because Yahaya Bello is a just and fair person. Am I right? Am I communicating? Yahaya Bello is just and fair. So there's nothing to fight with him. And also is our neighbors, our in-law. How will you go to fight your in-law and your neighbor? Do good. The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. So please continue to give your support to our government in Kogi State and at the federal level. I want to thank you. We'll begin, not to waste much of time, we'll begin with Kogi West now.
All right, Senator Adeyemi,
yes.
That was you.
You did very well.
After your election.
No, yeah, after the election.
After your election.
Yes.
So what has changed now?
Well, you heard what I said there. That is a just and fair person. When he came on board, his appointment, he spread the appointment. In my central district, we had 3 to 4 prominent cabinet members of his government. And to me, these are key positions. And I said, this man is just and fair. As long as just and fair, we'll stand by him.
You said anything, anything that he brings to you because he's your benefactor.
Not at the expense of the survival of my people.
So you can change your stance when things change. Is that the position?
There's a limit to loyalty. When loyalty becomes foolishness, it's no longer tenable. I said, as long as Yahaya Bello maintains justice, fairness, and equity, I will continue to stand by him.
Do you regret what you said?
I have no regret. I still maintain what I'm saying.
You still have your respect for him?
I still have my respect for him. I have nothing against him personally. He is fighting the cause of his people by insisting that the successor should come from his own community.
And you disagree with him?
I want my people to govern Kogi because we are not slaves.
All right.
When Sardauna was Premier of Northern Region, Pastor Awoni, a Christian, Anoku Yoruba man, was his principal private secretary. Why? Because Sardauna at that time believed in one North. So nobody agitates when there's fairness, when you are part of the system. But I am saying, with all the other zones, the Gala people govern for 19 years, then you now have the Central Ibira people govern 8 years, and they want to take another 8 years before it comes to us. We are not a conquered people.
Yeah, let's balance the conversation because
Yes,
Governor Yaya Bello tonight will get a chance of response to some of the things that you've said.
Yeah.
And he has his Commissioner for Information, Kingsley Fanwo, who joins us virtually. Mr. Fanwo, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You heard what Senator Adeyemi has said tonight. He has described that exercise as a charade, and he doesn't even feel that that exercise, in fact, held. He's called it a manipulation. What is the stance of your principal in this matter?
Thank you very much, Shehu, and I want to also say good evening to viewers around the world. It is quite unfortunate. Let me just compare this to a very big balloon. A big balloon is a lie. A small pin is enough to bring that lie down. And that's exactly what has happened, because when you lie, there will be some level of inconsistency in what you say. He said the election did not take place. When he was confronted with a video of the election actually taking place on that day, he said the counting was faulty. He said it was stage managed. I do not understand what he meant by a stage managed elections. Those he saw there are party members of the APC, and they came out to vote. Meanwhile, our constitution made it very clear as to who is qualified to cast his vote. The fact that you belong to a party does not make you a full member of that party. You can be a nominal member of the party if you are not taking any responsibility. Your membership of any party also comes with responsibilities. You must pay your dues. And when you pay your dues, you are issued with receipts. These are the things that qualify you to exercise your right as party members. So those who came out and were able to vote were the financial members of the party in accordance with the constitution of the party.
So,
you can see a
Mr.
lot of,
Fanwo, just a moment. You're speaking to what you saw. Now, Senator Smart Adeyemi has said and produced a tape of those who were waiting for hours, according to him, and we saw them agitating and putting up their party registration slip that in his area and in several areas across the almost 230-something wards, that there were no officials to conduct the exercise, and the primary never held in those areas.
He said the primary didn't hold anywhere. That was what he said. Now you could see that the primary actually held. That lie is enough to completely dismiss. I think by showing videos of where the primary actually held, it has shown that all he has been saying about it are not true. And you can see, it is obvious. You are watching the video. We are investigating. There are complaints to the party right now, and they are the fact that some fake membership slips were issued to people that were not even APC members to come out and foment trouble that day. So what these people need to do is to go back to the constitution of the party, get themselves abreast of the provisions of that constitution, and also that will help them in their future endeavor. The primary held
Mr. Fanwo,
candidates
Mr. Fanwo, just a moment. Let's look at this. There are several of the aspirants who threw their hat in the ring, including the deputy governor, including a few members of the governor's cabinet. Few days before the primary, some of them stepped down when Governor Yaya Bello endorsed this very man who was one, who a lot of people would describe as not a strong member of the party in terms of popularity to have won that kind of vote, if not for Yaya Bello. Now, not less than 4 or 5 of the aspirants have disowned the exercise, and they say that this is can be simply described as imposition.
I think we need to put the perspective very correctly. Those who withdrew before the day of the primary. During the stakeholders meeting that was chaired by the chairman of the electoral committee, His Excellency Governor Bello Matawale, he actually read out the names of those who had withdrawn from the race. I started by mentioning the name of the deputy governor of the state. Has any of the people that withdrew from the race, have any of them come out to say that they did not withdraw? They voluntarily withdrew from the contest. And those that were left, including distinguished Senator Smart Adeyemi, went into that contest. And the result was what you see. They are crying foul because they lost the election. That's very common to politicians. When they lose an election, they will come out to discredit it. You could see from this video that the primary actually held.
Now, give us an understanding. If you're insisting that the primary actually held, who was the chairman of that primary sent from Abuja?
Is His Excellency Governor Bello Matale.
So
I am not insisting.
Just a moment. I just asked you a question.
No, I will land on this.
Just a moment.
I will land on this.
I'm the one asking the question, and I'm moderating. If you please kindly allow me to do my job. Who announced the result of that primary?
The secretary of the committee on behalf of the chairman of the committee.
So where was the chairman of the committee? Why was it that
the chairman of the committee,
the secretary who announced
the chairman of the committee had to return to Zamfara because on Saturday they were to have some rerun elections in his state. So he came to Kogi State to set the ground for the primary. He addressed the stakeholders. He rolled out all the information that all the aspirants and stakeholders need to know about it. And a day to the primary, he had to fly back to Zamfara to oversee the rerun election as the leader of the party in Zamfara State.
So give us an understanding, okay, because I allow Senator Smart Adeyemi, I'm just moderating this process, so I allow Senator Smart Adeyemi to be able to respond to a few things that you've said. You are an Okuman too, meaning that you are from the Kogi West Senatorial District. Now, Senator Smart Adeyemi had said it is unfair for anyone from Governor Yaya Bello's senatorial district to fly the flag of the party, considering the issue of fairness and equity, the fact that no Okun person or no person from the Kogi West has ever governed Kogi State since inception. From your own point of view, is it fair for the governor to have endorsed, and according to those of your party saying, this is pure imposition?
Thank you very much. I'm not sure that even Senator Smart Adeyemi has any evidence that the governor actually endorsed anybody for the primary. He told anyone that was interested to go and pick forms. And let me tell you this, those who come to equity must come with clean hands. Senator Smart Adeyemi came after Senator Tunde Ogbeha to the senator of Kogi West. Senator Tunde Ogbeha was there between 1999 to 2003 and 2003 to 2007. He had all the opportunities in this world to continue, but he decided to step down and allowed it move to Kababuni Jumu, where Senator Smart Adeyemi took over from 2007. Smart Adeyemi won 2007. He won again in 2011. And when it was the time for it to go to Yagba Federal Constituency, he insisted on running for the third term. As at that time, Yagba Federal Constituency had not produced a senator. So he took the ticket of the PDP that ordinarily and in line with the fairness that he's now the apostle of, it should have gone to the Adamawa Federal Constituency. But he insisted and took the ticket by force in 2015. And then, after losing the election, he almost became a political orphan. He was finding his feet. And then in 2019, the governor, because we were already rooting for another aspirant in person of Mr. Tony Akonle to be the senator. But the governor called us and said, come, I want to lobby you. All of you that came from Kogi West, I want to lobby you to please support Senator Smart Adeyemi. There were a lot of arguments that day, but at the end of the day,
you're explaining the senatorial issues, but I'm asking you a question in relation to the governorship race and the issue of power balancing.
I am drawing an analogy that if you want to talk about fairness, you must also be fair. So in that 2019, the governor lobbied us to support Senator Smart Adeyemi, which we did. And he went to the Senate for the 3rd term. And as at that time, Yagba Federal Constituency had not produced a senator. In 2023 again, he came out again to contest that position. That will be the 4th time he will be contesting without a federal constituency producing. Now he's talking about the governorship and he's saying he's fighting for his people. This is selfishness of the highest order. When politicians want something for themselves,
okay, so
they will go and preach that they want it for their people.
Leave Senator Smart Adeyemi just for a moment. Leave Senator Smart Adeyemi just for a moment. Just for a moment. Mr. Fanwo, just for a moment. Leave Smart Adeyemi out of this matter. Has any person from Kogi West being a governor in Kogi State ever since inception?
No, to the best of my knowledge.
Is it okay for anyone from Kogi West to have their turn based on the agitation of your people, Mr. Fanwo?
It is okay for anyone from Kogi West to have the turn to become the governor of Kogi State. Mind you, this person that would come would be the governor of the entire state. The division that we inherited in 2016, we've been able to collapse those walls of division. Nobody's talking about ethnicity anymore, except politicians that want things for themselves and will say
he has alleged nepotism. That this is a relation, yes. Mr. Ododo is a relation of Governor Yaya Bello. Is it good for nepotism to be introduced at this point?
He may have to prove the allegation that Ododo was a relation of the governor.
All right.
Those who understand the governor very well, they know that the governor is not nepotic, the governor is not tribalistic. The reason why the governor wanted Senator Smart Adeyemi to go to the Senate in 2019 was because he thought that Kogi will have a fair chance of pushing for the Senate presidency.
All right, just a moment.
Senator Smart Adeyemi would be a 3rd-term senator and be able to take that. The governor knew that the Senate president is the number 3 man in the country. And he would still push that someone who is not his relation, someone who is not from his central district, should go for that position. He was not even afraid that he would be under the Senate president.
Let me give Senator Smart Adeyemi some 60 seconds or 180 seconds to respond to some of this.
Let me just erase some misconceptions and misrepresentation. Yagba Federal constituency had 2 senators before I came on board. Pastor Diawoni was a senator. Maybe you were still very young then. Senator Justus from Egbe was a senator. So you have had 2 senators from Yagba Federal constituency before. I was appointed the DG campaign for Yaya Doza Bello 2nd term. If I have no value to add, they wouldn't appoint me the DG campaign. But they needed my central district to give support to Central, where the governor comes from. No single central district can deliver a governor. So you need on that senatorial district. So I was appointed the DG campaign for a 2nd term. I wonder why he was not appointed then. I was appointed because they know I have value to add. And that explains why it was much easier for us to win the West and the Central, and Yaya emerged because the PDP at that time had a candidate from the East. Now, let me let you know that in this coming governorship election, the people of Central, in their wisdom, great people, the PDP, the opposing party, they didn't feed the candidate. None of them got form. Why? The people of the Central, where the governor comes from, said it is not their turn. It is the turn of the West. So PDP is not having a candidate from Central to contest this election because they know that for fairness, it should be zoned to West, where I come from. He was one of those who encouraged me. I have him here on phone. I can give you the text on the 17th of November. Where he said, and you can read it, you can show it to the world. This same guy, he's saying, if you are going to contest, I will support you, sir. You are better than most Okun people. You can have a look. You can put it on camera. Now, you know, I said in every society, when people are enslaved, there are the people we call the happy slaves, who think they are part of the ruling class, but they are being used. He's one of them.
Let me give you just 10 seconds to give your final thought, because we need to close this now.
I can assure you that if APC should go ahead with their plan, the next governorship election will not be as easy as they think, because we're going to educate our people. Our people are quite educated now, I mean, politically. Election is not going to be, it's our party. Election is going to be, who is the candidate? Where is he coming from? What are his antecedents? The guy who is coming is the Auditor General of the local government, and we know all the problems and things that happen in local government that I don't want to go into now. Okay, and I pray they will not push us to start opening some things, some Pandora boxes.
All right. Let me allow you, Mr. Fanwo, to take the next 60 seconds to wrap up. Your final thought.
Thank you very much. A candidate has emerged for our party. We are not talking about tribalism. We are not talking about ethnicity. The Kogi people are united behind the candidate of the APC, and by the grace of God, on November 11, we shall win that election. If anybody is saying because there was no aspirant from Kogi Central vying for the PDP ticket, are we also saying that there were no aspirants from Kogi East vying for the PDP ticket? Right. We just need to come to equity with clean hands. So they need to shelf their satanic agenda to ensure that our party does not have a candidate. They failed in that. We organized the freest and fairest primary in the...
All right, Mr. Kingsley Fanwo, the Commissioner of Information and Communications in Kogi State, Senator Smart Adeyemi, thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming tonight. I appreciate it. We take a break, everyone, and when we come back, I will take you to the scenario playing out in Adamawa State and how INEC is handling all of this. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us tonight on the program. Let's get you straight into the matter of the Adamawa governorship election, which is now hanging in the balance. We can tell you that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has directed one of his resident electoral commission, the one in charge of Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa Ari, to stay away from all activities of the electoral umpire and the election in Adamawa State. Mr. Yunusa Ari, who was a rec for the governorship election in Adamawa State, said controversy on Sunday morning when he announced Ms. Aisha Binani Dahiru, the candidate of the APC, as a winner of the polls, a move that was being criticized as not being within the constitutional purview of the INEC rec to do so, except for the returning officer. INEC has since disowned that act and says the man should stand down and summon him and some officials of the commission to Abuja. But this was the position of INEC earlier today, because we're now waiting the commission to have the meeting so that we can know the position of the commission. Take a listen to the Director of Voter Education and Publicity with INEC, Mr. Victor Aluko.
It's unfortunate that a national commissioner was assaulted. Two national commissioners were actually deployed to Adamawa to oversee the activities there. And it's unbelievable that thugs could assault one of our national commissioners. But we thank God that he is safe. He is back to Abuja now and is recuperating. The commission suspended all activities related to the collation of the supplementary election in Adamawa State, and directed all the officials involved to immediately come to the INEC headquarters today, so that the commission can review the whole thing and take a formal decision. Currently, the national commissioners have been outside Abuja. As you all know, national commissioners went to supervise the supplementary elections in their zones. And so, before the end of today, national commissioners will gather in the headquarters. They will return to the headquarters, and once they return, the commission will go into an immediate meeting, and a very important meeting to consider all the issues related to Adamawa.
Victor Aluko, Director, Voter Education with INEC. Let's get an insight on what is happening and the way forward. We need to get some perspective on exactly what has gone wrong with the Adamawa process and the situation the rec has put himself and some of the officials there. I'm being joined by a former national commissioner with INEC, Dr. Mustafa Lekki. Thank you so much. It's good to see you after such a long time.
It's correct. Thank you, Sharon. It's good
You've suddenly just disappeared from public.
I'm still there doing other things which I know how to do best.
You look a bit relaxed, though.
Thank you very much. Yes, thanks. I'm good.
A national commissioner being beaten and a rec doing what has been described as the unbelievable. When you heard this, what came to your mind?
I was quite saddened, really, because this is like extreme. It's not what you expect. I can't remember, historically and during my time at INEC, this kind of things happened, what could possibly happen. But I saw it and I read about it. I saw the pictures, and it's quite saddening to see that happen. I think it's not the best of times, for INEC. Even though I think that there are a lot of good things that have happened in recent time, particularly with this election, but it's really these things are sort of cancelling each other out. You have one good thing and then one bad, terrible thing comes and cancel out the good thing. It's saddening, really.
It's a reputational damage for INEC, isn't it?
It's quite a damage that the Commission will have to struggle to dig out of. Clearly. Some may say it's probably self-inflicted. You should have seen this coming, but I don't particularly share that view. What happened at Adamawa? I mean, the guy there, the rec, maybe it's a first-time rec, but that's not an excuse. It's a barrister. It's a lawyer, so you should actually know the law more than any other person. And ordinarily, usually, such an election, you can predict that it's going to be very contentious, because of the high stakes. You have a lady who's, warming up and looking good to take over. You have people who are established and depend who wants to make sure that doesn't happen. And so INEC should have really gauged it, and I believe they must have gauged it correctly. And ordinarily, you expect INEC to send powerful delegates to help to supervise and stabilize the situation. Not only we have like about 2 national commissioners going there, there'll be additional resident electoral commissioners from neighboring states, even far away states. At least 3 or 4 additional resident electoral commissioners from the state will go there and support, the resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa to ensure that the right thing is done. So I don't know. There are details that needs to be heard about this case, clearly.
I mean, let's give the reg a benefit of the doubt. Scenarios that probably could have led him to have, naturally, it's a returning officer of that election that is expected, other than the rec. The only moment where you have an INEC official being a returning officer is at the presidential election, where you have the INEC chairman being the chief returning officer of the presidential election. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the case? I mean, what scenario could have prompted the rec to say, I want to announce the result?
Yeah, that is why I'm really, I want to have more details. Because ordinarily in this election, given the nature and the build-up to this particular election in Adamawa, INEC ought to have supported and strengthened the electoral governance in that state for that moment at that time. Meaning that you will have national commissioners will be there. From what I read, there were 2 that were sent there. You have additional resident electoral commissioner to ensure that you have adequate governance manpower in place to ensure that this kind of thing does not happen.
We had 2 that was deployed to Adamawa
national commissioner, but
to work with the rec.
Yeah, ordinarily there will be additional resident
electoral
from
to assist because he's an outside. Yeah, he's a standalone.
He's standalone,
in that
so you
sense,
have enough manpower to be able to take to that place to do this. And so there are a lot of things that needs to be had. Were there more people, and how was he able to overcome, the resistance? I mean, the advice.
Whether or not he acted alone.
How could he have acted alone when you have others who are senior, like national commissioners in place? I've done this before. I was in Kogi, where national commissioners were there. We had resident commissioners from other states, neighboring area, that supported to do the Kogi election. So they can't overrule the national commissioners who are present. So what happened?
If there is a national commissioner, because there is a national commissioner who, the states are divided under national commissioners.
Who's in charge of that zone.
So, and I assume that one of them was there.
Yes.
2 of them that we understand were deployed. Yes. One was beating, who looked like the rec. Unfortunately, which INEC said is going to take steps to investigate on what happened and act on it. But is it possible that the rec operationally takes charge and the national commissioner support, or it takes orders from the national commissioner, or how does it work?
Well, you have to look at the governance structure. He must take directive from the national commissioner. When the national commissioner is present, he's his boss. So he consults him, he takes directive from him. So that's why I'm wondering, how did he have the courage to mount up this podium and then make the announcement that is allegedly made, by him, and the national commissioner is there without consultation that he was going to do that and get the okay to do that. And also have his colleagues who are resident national commissioner from other states who are also present in the same space, and yet was able to move. Something went on. Now, this seems to be quite articulated. He has no right. He's not a returning officer. There might be circumstances in which, you get clearance from your superior authorities to do something which is not ordinary to be done. And in that case, you must have the stakeholders there assigning and agreeing to do it. We had a case like that in Bayelsa when I was National Commissioner. That was the first time we did this simultaneous accreditation and voting. It was my election.
That was the scenario that prompted INEC to collapse the two.
To collapse the two.
I remember I was
got
there.
them to sign.
We were on the ground together there.
Yeah, right. I remember. We were new. So was at that time.
Your legs were very fresh that time in the water.
But it was historical that I was supervising that election where that was done, and that became the order of the day that now we do both simultaneously. So we got all the stakeholders to buy into it that should happen. And it happened. They wrote to it and we agreed and we went ahead and did that. So that's not something that was written before then, but then it was agreed that it should be done. It was done. It worked out very well. It's come to stay now as part of the tradition in INEC.
I don't want to dig into what the electoral law says about some of the ramifications of the action of the REC. Some sections proffering almost 3 years imprisonment. There are punishments. And you can take charges away from those actions. And you say he's a lawyer and all of these things perhaps. I'm wondering, could there be any political pressure that could have led to that? Do you guys have you experienced those kind of possible inducement, political pressure that could have led to this kind of scenario?
Yeah, this is clearly in the realm of speculation because
that's why I said. We are now wondering what could have gone wrong.
Nobody is going to own up, to this thing. But through investigation, we find out, what's happened. But clearly, INEC has done the right thing, by immediately putting a stop to this absolute, nonsense. In the sense that the law, the new electoral law allows INEC a window to be able to intervene because of these cases of people being intimidated to declare, results which are not meant to be declared. And so INEC has that opportunity now to make a review. And they've taken advantage of that provision in the new electoral act to make sure that they are doing this by stopping this and say they're going to review it and take necessary steps. So I think they're the right course to do the right thing.
Give us an understanding. You've acted at that level, at the highest level in the commission. So when they summon them, usually what happens in that case? What should we be expecting? What should be happening now internally within INEC?
Well, a panel will be set up. It's not going to be a panel of the whole for now because fact gathering has to take place. They have to make a submission. He'll be charged to explain. He must make a written submission of what happened. Why did he take those steps? And those things have to be done. And then they'll be reviewed. And then the committee that's looking into this, probably the lawyers as well as other, maybe 2 or 3, commissioners, particularly those ones who were there because that's their zone and they were given the mandate to go there and carry out this assignment. So they're responsible, to the commission. And then the report of that committee will come before the National Commissioner in the usual, committee of the whole. And then the matters will begin to arise from there. So the
INEC, we assume that INEC, INEC chairman, we convene the commission's meeting. Yes. And usually, what is the quorum to make up that meeting?
Well, there are 12 commissioners, so I think a simple majority will give you the quorum to have that.
It's some kind of emergency meeting, yes. Isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know if I have a quorum defined for emergency meeting, but clearly the committee would have been set up to investigate that will bring a report to the commission. And that commission will take the report of that committee. There will be a chairman for that committee that will look into this matter and they present the case that happened. And then matter will happen. Either call him for further discussion, that is the REC in this case, and then consequential action will happen thereafter.
Electoral offenses, we've seen ramifications of that we need to be identified by the court, and there are also criminal ramifications to all of these. Some political parties are already asking that the REC should be arrested. Administratively, what happens in this regard if INEC finds any of its top officials wanted or dereliction of duty?
Well, there's a precedent. I mean, when I was a commissioner, a number of INEC staff were sent to the court. They were prosecuted, and INEC was the one that did the cases and then moved over to the.
They handed them over to the police?
For prosecution.
So it's possible that this man could be handed over to the police?
Absolutely. I can see that happening because it's clearly violated. This is what he has done is almost unheard of. in terms of usurping the position which is not yours. You are a lawyer, and then you take over the declaration, and then you start to declare. I've not seen the footage. I've not really seen it.
I mean, we have the footage. Let me just show you. Since you are here, the benefit of, for those of our viewers who do not see, let's just let go back to a bit. So let's hear that, and let's show our viewers again what really transpired and how Mr. Ari, the role he played.
I respect you as a father.
You cannot.
I respect you as a father. Please don't do this.
You cannot do this.
Please, as a father.
You are not the returning officer.
You are not the returning officer.
Wait for the returning officer. By law.
Oh no. Oh.
You are not the returning officer.
I plead with you with all due respect. Don't do this. Please don't do this. Fear God.
You are not the returning officer.
You are fasting. You are fasting, and Almighty Allah is watching you.
You are not the returning officer. You cannot make this result.
Almighty Allah is watching you.
You cannot be.
Fear Allah.
You cannot.
Fear Allah.
You cannot.
It's unfair.
There's nothing like so. There's nothing.
Fear Allah.
They cannot return.
Whether you are saying, and this or Allah,
you cannot. No.
No. Let's say God. There is a God.
No, there's nothing like that.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
No, you are not.
No, it can't happen. This is not fair. You cannot follow it.
No.
Fear Allah.
You cannot.
You see, based on
No. You cannot.
based on the
No. Okay, it's about like
the APC support the highest vote.
No. How?
Thank you very much.
How?
All right, then, Dr. Lekki, that was what happened.
Seeing this live, and like I said, there is no way INEC is not going to go to the bottom of this matter, and they are doing that presently. A number of them were out. I understand that is the typical, procedure. They will be back by today and tomorrow. The committee will have been set up by now, looking into this matter to investigate it. And they cannot condone this. It's obvious they are not condoning it because of the swift reaction by making it null and void, and so they are going to play by the rule. Again, like I said, this whole electioneering process this year has been that of excitement, if we put it that way, in terms of a number of contradicting, some very good things and some very bad things. Yeah. Most of the bad things, mostly right there, the narratives are bad, but when you look at some of the things that the commission had done, at the Beavers, it's an excellent thing. And I voted for the first time for a very long time because I couldn't vote as an umpire. Yeah, on duty. But this time I voted, and my fingerprints and my and I voted very seamlessly. And I think kudos should go to the commission. For
let's close on this note, and very quickly too. So, what do we expect that INEC will collate the remaining of the results from Abuja and announce it from Abuja? Is that likely to be what would happen?
Well, INEC can do that if there is a perceived, perception that the situation in Adamawa will not be conducive enough for it to go back to Adamawa and then declare the result. They can do it anywhere at the headquarters. That is possible. There are many ways in which INEC can, address, this situation. I think probably it would be safer, given what is happening, that the tension is addressed and people can bring back their annoyances.
I just pray that this election is concluded, so that there won't be an inconclusive election.
Right. It's an inconclusive election for now, and I believe it will be concluded because the results will be there, and they can always put them back together and collate them, and then make a final determination. It's just a pity. The government have done very well, and the INEC in terms of good things that have happened, but these sort of things are just out of the blues, like out of hell, and it needs to be addressed going forward.
Dr. Mustapha Lekki, so good to see you again. A former INEC National Commissioner, and it's good and refreshing to hear your views on some of these issues. Thank you so much indeed. Don't be a stranger.
Thank you, Sean. Anytime.
Thank you so much indeed.
Okay, sure.
And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. God bless Nigeria.